what the blockchain should be doing in this industry. Right now, it's a wild, wild west. People are running out the courthouses, saying they're getting records and not getting records. Some are taking too long. There's a big trust issue with whether or not the applicant is going to get a job because somebody went to a courthouse. My hopes is that the blockchain brings we bring the record to the blockchain from the courthouse, and it can be accessed in a manner that the applicant knows that there's some trustworthiness to the process of getting his job, and it's not just some condition of someone saying they went to a courthouse and got the records. We're not able to validate that. There's no validation in the process of getting criminal records right now. That's part one. Part two, and the bigger aspect to this is the millions of jobs a day that people are applying for. They're not able to get jobs because their name is the same as someone else's. They're not able to get jobs because records are found that are associated to them but legally shouldn't be there. And there's this apparatus called the FCRA that controls this at a nationwide level and at a state level. And all of that is unregulated. Nobody's following the rules. Software is in place to try and do this. And then there's this giant lawsuit apparatus that is part of the whole FCRA. So all these things are taking place when somebody's just trying to get a job, and somebody's just putting down their name, their social, their date of birth, and applying for a job. The company's hiring a third-party vendor to go get the records from a courthouse. We want those records in the blockchain. We want the applicant to own their records. So when they go to get a job, they know their record is going to be retrieved from one place in the blockchain where they've approved everything already. They'll know exactly when somebody pulled that. They might even have some sort of ownership on it to where instead of other people paying to get their records, they can pay them in a crypto or something else. It's their records. They should own it. The courthouse and everybody else who's making all the money off of these people's records. So getting the applicant to have full authority of their criminal past, or those people who have common names and have no criminal past, that's something that blockchain can solve overnight. It puts the applicant in total charge of their data. So controlling the researchers that have to go places and do things, and this goes all the way from motor vehicle records, credit reports. Again, you run a credit report, it's pulling out back address history information, most of the time off of the Social Security, but even then, there's aliases and stuff that get washed through all that data. The applicant should see the record once it's into the blockchain and then give it a stamp of approval. And then the applicant owns that data for the rest of their life. The applicant and our software in the blockchain will follow the guidelines of state rules and stuff, and when there's not supposed to be that record to be shown after a certain time frame, it could be removed from the blockchain. It could be removed from the report. It might have to stay in the report for the criminal side of things, but we can remove what the FCRA says to. For an example, in California, if you now have a first-time offense of a marijuana charge, it doesn't matter when, it can't go against you. The FCRA can't report that. Well, once it's there in the data and it gets spread out over millions of data pieces, who's there to prevent that from happening? The applicant has to wait to be told they didn't get a job. Then the applicant has to call the background check company, do all this dispute. By the time they do all that and the background check company cleans the report, they've already hired somebody else. Had the applicant known that that could happen, they could be monitoring their data. The blockchain will monitor the data and never release that information in the first place. It stops the background check company from getting sued. So there's a bunch of applications that the blockchain is going to fix that I can't sit here and say right now what all they are, but there's a bunch. This industry is the wild, wild west. Nothing has changed. I've been doing this for 25 years and nothing has been done to protect the data of an applicant. But in those 25 years, there's been over 50 to 100 new guidelines and regulations to protect the applicant, removing of date of birth. Some states ban the box, one thing after another, and nobody is regulating it. The blockchain can do that. There's two things. The company does the background check to mitigate risk and mitigate risk only. They know they can potentially hire somebody with a criminal record, but the lawsuit will be a lot less if they've done the background check. If they do no background check, hire a person, and that person creates any issues, goes out and harms somebody else, the lawsuit to that company is going to be grand. in comparison if they had done the background check. Still going to be in trouble because they did the background check and still made the hire. Then again, there's the applicant side of things. The background check, nobody in the United States anymore, and it's getting to be all over the world, nobody gets a job without giving their permission to have their criminal records looked at. The applicants that have criminal records have no way of knowing the data rules, the regulations from the states, the regulations from the FCRA. Nobody's in control of any of that. The applicant themselves don't know what they should or shouldn't say. The blockchain can fix those things, but the importance is twofold. It's the companies and it's the applicant.